Hello, and welcome back to Final 7 Ministries. We're going to continue our discussion on Daniel chapter 7, and we're going to talk a little bit about Daniel chapter 8 and Revelation 13. Starting with Daniel chapter 7, we have 4 beasts that come out of the sea. The first one is a lion with eagle's wings. The second is a bear. The next one is a four-headed leopard with wings of a fowl. And the final one is a beast that couldn't be described, but it had 10 horns. Now, some teach that the beasts in Daniel chapter 7 are consistent with Daniel chapter 2 as another vision. However, there are some inconsistencies with that line of thinking, which we're going to talk about today. First of all, whenever you break everything down completely, the numbers of everything doesn't necessarily match up. Two, when we get to the Media Persia and the Grecian Empire, these are actually mentioned in a different chapter, which is chapter 8. Daniel was given another vision talking about these two kingdoms, and he had a vision of a ram and a goat. And in chapter 8, verse 20, it talks about the ram being Media Persia and the goat being Grecia, or the Grecian Empire. Now, from this, we see that using an animal to symbolize a country isn't anything new. And we see that used in politics all the time. It's been that way for decades. And we're actually using some of those in the breakdown today. Now, the next point I want to mention is there are 2 scriptures that talk about the timing, which is similar to Daniel chapter 2, but there are some differences. Daniel chapter 7 and verse 9 says, "And I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit." Now, this is talking about the second coming of the Lord. But then if you go to 7 and 12, "As concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and a time." Also, if you jump down to 17, "These great beasts, which are four kings, shall arise out of the earth, but the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever." So this is all talking about the second coming and talking about that the nations of the world are having their power stripped because everything now belongs to Christ. And with these passages, it's basically stating that all of these beasts that was just previously mentioned are going to be around at the second coming. And if we're trying to relate these to the metals of the statue, those kingdoms aren't in power anymore. So that's a sign that these are different entities altogether. Now, as far as the breakdown of what these beasts are, comes from the teaching of Irvin Baxter and End Time Ministries. I highly encourage you to research them on either YouTube or their website, which is endtime.com. You can go to the archive section, lots of videos that you can look at there. But I encourage you to watch the video really breaking down each of these beasts that's in Daniel chapter 7. But with that teaching, you'll understand that these beasts that are coming up out of the sea are nations that are going to be in power during the end time. And the nations are as follows in Daniel chapter 7 verse 4. You've got a lion with eagle's wings, and that the lion is Great Britain, and the wings that is shown, the wings are plucked off and set apart. That nation then becomes the United States. Then you have the bear, which is Russia. Then you have the leopard, which is Germany. The four heads are a representation of times in power. So you have the three Reichs that are commonly known and talked about, but then you have a fourth, which is Germany after the fall of the Berlin Wall. Then you have the wings of a fowl that are attached to the leopard, and that is France. And this is a representation of the Franco-German alliance. Then you come to the unknown beast, which has 10 horns, and these are going to be a representation of the 10 countries that are in Europe, also known as the 10 toes. Again, I highly encourage you to watch one of the videos from either Irvin Baxter or End Time Ministries, because it's really going to break down these into a large amount of detail on why this is the belief and how certain predictions that were made and came to pass are played out. If we now go to Revelation 13, we have the same beasts, but they look a little different. They're now a conglomerated beast, which is that of a leopard, with the mouth of a lion, feet of a bear, having 7 heads and 10 horns. Now, if you calculate the beasts in Daniel 7, and you calculate the beasts, which you've got Great Britain, Russia, the 4 heads of the leopard, and the head of the unknown animal, that is 7. Then if you take one of the heads, which was wounded unto death, but then healed, which would be a representation of Germany, because Germany was reunited after the fall of the Berlin Wall. And this was a huge part of one of the predictions made by Irvin Baxter, and in his book, A Message to the President, which he had published like 3 years before the actual fall of the Berlin Wall. Now, there's 2 other entities that was in the first mentioning that aren't necessarily present in the same way in the conglomerated beast. The wings of a fowl aren't mentioned, so we're not entirely sure what is happening to France. However, the wings of the eagle aren't mentioned here either. So the wings of an eagle are not going to be a part of the conglomerated beast. So if we know that America is not going to be under that rule, what is America's role? Now, we're going to see that in Revelation 12. If we look in verse 13, we see the dragon, which is Satan, is persecuting the woman, which is Israel. Now, this is going to be done under the means of the use of the Antichrist. But during this persecution, the woman is given 2 wings of a great eagle, which is the United States mentioned again. So what we see that's going to happen is Israel is going to be protected by the United States during the time of the Antichrist. Again, if this teaching concept is new to you, I highly advise you to track down some of the videos teaching this in much deeper detail. But I hope that you enjoyed today's lesson, and we'll see you in the next video.